Good morning. My name is Julia Flynn Worry, and you have found us. This is Monday Momentum, Make Some Money, Honey. And you have found us here. We meet every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific time. And we have guests coming to us from all over the country and pretty soon all over the globe, as we've had some inquiries from people in Asia, which is very exciting. And I'm very happy to tell you all about that. I have a new background behind me because I was blessed this weekend. I got a brand new desk, so I'm hoping that everyone can hear me loud and clear. Today, we're going to be diving right into our annual schedule, which I will be posting. And actually, if you're interested in knowing what our upcoming meetups are going to be about and our upcoming classes are going to be about, please go on to my website, makesomemoneyhoney.com, the same place where you get your live jump into this Google Hangout every single week, and send me an email. Send me a quick email. Let me know that you'd like to have the list of upcoming topics. We're going to be looking for guests. We're going to have people come in and talk about their expertise, and we're going to be sharing some information on a regular scheduled program. We also do a Friday Google Hangout, which is a more private and organized class where we're going to be talking about those specific topics at greater, more in-depth capacity, where we're going to go a little bit farther every single week. And I'd like to remind everybody, while we have somebody talking, to mute your phone or mute your computer so that when you jump in, you're quiet and we can all hear you. We get together every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. Pacific Time, to talk about different business owners, whether you are a multi-level marketing business owner or if you're a regular business owner for a small business or a network marketer. We like to hear from absolutely everyone. What we're going to do is we're going to start by introducing a few people, our regular cast of characters, and then coming back to me, and then we're going to jump in and talk about today's topic, which is all about how to create your names list. And this might be a foreign word, it might be a new word for you. You might not have ever heard the term names list before, but if you've been in multi-level marketing or network marketing, that's something that you do day one, the very beginning of your career. So we're going to be talking about names lists today, how to build them, how to get some great ideas for those. And right now, I'd like to introduce my partner, coming to you all the way from the West Coast. We're at 7 a.m. Sarah, could you say hello this morning?
Good morning. I apologize for skating in at the last second there. All I can tell you is it's still dark, and I set my alarm for 5:15 p.m., so we're lucky I'm here at all. But I did it, yay, because it's Monday morning, and you guys got to know, you are solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small business people working from home. That does not mean you don't get up and running on Monday morning. Now, maybe it's not always Monday, but for us it is. We do this early Monday mornings to help us have a great week, start out in the right kind of momentum, with the right kind of energy, with the right kind of friends, so that when we slide into Friday afternoon at 5 p.m., we feel really good about our week because we actually move forward in the way we had intended. So that's the idea behind Monday Momentum. Good morning, everyone. Give me a second to breathe, and I'll be really interesting, I promise.
That is fantastic. We're so glad that you're here. That's all that really matters, right, is that you're here. I'd like to kick it over to Brenda Graham. And Brenda, I muted you, so I'm unmuting you. Can you tell us who you are and where you're coming to us from?
Good morning, everybody. This is Brenda Graham, the queen of MLM. Fuss the crown. I'm missing my scepter, but let's pretend. And I'm coming from Columbia, Maryland.
Wonderful. That is fantastic, and we're so glad that you're here. Next, I'd like to introduce Chuck Howard. I'm not positive if Chuck is able to join us this morning or not vocally, but I hope so. Chuck?
Good morning. I'm Chuck Howard, Catonsville, Maryland. Ready to learn some exciting stuff.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're here too. New procedure is to mute yourself when somebody else is talking, just so we don't get any background noises. It really helps everybody tremendously. So this morning's topic, and Sarah, I'm gonna bring it on into you, is to ask everybody if they've ever heard of the term names list. And if you can tell me a brief experience of what you know about what a names list is, and then we're going to talk a little bit about how to build a names list for success in your business. Sarah?
Cool. Yeah, I don't ever call it a names list. I just call it a list. You're building your list. You're building your list. And it is true. Most of the time, at least in my experience, when you begin in network marketing in some kind of organization, one of the first things you do is build your list. And many, many people have trouble with that because they all of a sudden freeze and feel like they don't know anyone, when in fact they do know lots of people. One little thing that I always say is, look in here. How many thousands of people do you have in your phone? Okay, that's your list. That's the beginning of your list anyway. And, some people you know better than others, and I think that's why people have that fear. But the idea is to get down on paper, written down, all of the people that you could potentially contact about whatever it is your offering is. You may not contact them. That's not the point. The point is to get the names written down, because when you write them down, more names appear. And there's all sorts of techniques that you can use to help you trigger, look through a phone book, look through an old yearbook, things like that to give you ideas. But the more names that you have written down, the more confidence you will have that, okay, I know 400 people. I got something to work with here. I'll be able to do this. And again, if you don't write them down, what happens is you get stuck in about 5 in your head. Okay, I know, Mary and Josie, and that's all I know. But once you write those 5 down, 5 more appear. And that's what I meant. They appear in your mind. It's like that you can only hold a few at a time, and you need to get them out so the next ones can come in. And eventually the ones will come out that you really, oh yeah, I know I can talk to that person right now, and all those other ones can wait, and they're written down and they're safe, and I won't lose them. So I'm not sure if that's what you were getting at, but you have to have a list to start with because you're going to have potential customers.
That's exactly what I was wondering. And Brenda, can you tell me a little bit about your what you know a names list to be, or how you would define a names list?
Well, I'm the same as Sarah, but because I've been at this a while longer, I've specialized my list to the point where when I'm forming it, I think of everybody as an affiliation and possibly a team leader. So when I get to a specific person, I will actually think of what groups they belong to, who they know, who their best friends are, if I know them, and the other affiliations we have, so that I will make a separate list under their name of people that they know. It's not to help them build their list, but it's to help me not encroach on, if they say yes, not encroaching on any of their affiliations. So I like to do that.
Boy, that is really, really amazing too. I'm impressed. So the basic definition of a names list, or a list, is actually creating the list of names of people you could potentially do business with, and how you can build that list of people that you can do business with moving forward. And to clarify, so Brenda, not only do you write down, like Sarah said, Sarah says she writes down every person she can think of so that she can move on to adding more names to the list, which I first want to touch on that, which is absolutely amazing to me. Whenever I've built a names list in the future, in the past, what I've noticed is as soon as I can commit that person's name to paper, ink on paper, they somehow magically appear in my life. I might not have seen them since grade school, but I bump into them at the grocery store, or their name crosses my list and somebody else mentions them. So it really brings them closer. Secondly, I guess what you were saying, Sarah, is that then you, when you have that happen and you commit their name to paper, then more names come in. And then Brenda, what you're saying is you take it even farther and you put their name down, and then you're saying you make a list under them of everyone that they know. Is that
That I think that they know that's in that affiliation, because I do a lot of networking. If no, I'll use you and Sarah. We're all CEO Space members, correct?
right?
But you and Sarah have a better relationship. So I wouldn't call Sarah, because when I wrote your name down, I would put Sarah under your list as a first call rather than myself. Although she would be on my main list, but I just transfer her.
Wow.
And the
Okay.
day that I would call you. If you said yes, then Sarah definitely is on your list just because of tight relationship. Chuck would be on your list because of tight relationship. And that's the way I build now because I know so many people. So
Wow.
my list is never ending.
What do you
So
think
it's a fine art. It's going 2 levels deep. It's great.
Many levels deep. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and if you can do it because then you can build a little bit of a structure up front.
But even when you're looking at your regular list, like when you go through your service providers, you do them the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know a mailman, of course, his would be other mail carriers, the post office. Who do you know in the post office when you go to the post office? These are all conversations and extensions of the list. You can do it with everybody on your list.
you're actually building success in from the first moment you talk to them, which when you're getting to the recruiting piece, you're saying, I've already started working on your names list. I'm really ecstatic about hearing this idea. It's like the greatest thing ever. I do want to get Chuck to chime in a little bit because I know Chuck has a really interesting way of keeping track of his names in his list. Chuck, how do you do that?
I enter my names list in a database called Ace of Sales, and I can put them in groups. Like, for example, I could break them down to groups like word of mouth prospects, North American power prospects, and I can also put notes in there about maybe some people they know or dates that are important to them, a little bit about their background, and like how many children they have, are they married, what their hobbies and interests are. For example, is there a Raven fan, Steeler fan, whatever be the case. I have a good deal of knowledge when I talk to them if I haven't talked to them in a while, and I think that works out pretty good.
That is really awesome. So actually, you've been doing a little bit of what Brenda's been doing, maybe not categorizing it specifically the way Brenda has, but you're really breaking it down and you're using an electronic tool to capture all of that called Ace of Sales to capture all of that, which I absolutely love. It's amazing, when I think to myself, oh, I've got this all under control. I know what I'm doing. I know how to talk about names lists. You guys are you you start talking and I'm like, wow, you're blowing my mind. All these new ideas come in. So I use a pen and paper. As electronic as I am, I start by doing a pen and paper and keeping a notepad near me when I'm watching TV or talking on the phone or whatever, and then I transfer that list into Google Drive. I use the Google Drive Sheets tool, and then I can create my grid. I actually don't use a database like Chuck does, and I've never gone to the extent that Brenda has, which is totally so cool. But I absolutely love that because helping people to build while you're building. So with your names list, you're committing it wherever you're committing it to paper or whatever. The only tip I was going to add was that when I write my name down on a piece of paper, I tend to use a highlighter if I've talked to them or if I know them or whatever. I don't like to draw a line through their name or anything like that. And I really don't like to ever take them off the list. And I don't know how you all feel about this too, but I've always heard the expression that no just means not now. And getting back to Sarah, what do you think of that? When you call somebody and you offer them a product, a service, or whatever, how do you track the no, or how do you feel about that?
Well, I don't ever take them off either. It's a not now. It might be don't call for 6 months with which means June at this point for me. And you too, I guess. Not just, we're on different times, but not different calendars. Yeah, what I was going to add to what you were saying about the list is I think it's fabulous to use paper, and I think, however technologically advanced this group is, many people are still using paper for lots of things, and so we don't want them to somehow think that they've got to get really computer literate, they've got to get all these cool programs and learn how to use them, and then they can build their list. That is completely not true for most of the companies that are out there. You do not have to do that. And the thing that I would add about the paper list, at least for me, I'm not so great at writing notes to myself on things like this still. I'm not even good at it with a computer. Making a to-do list, forget it. I still use paper. And the cool thing about a pad of paper is you can take it anywhere you go. And of course, you can take your phone too, but if you're not good at writing notes on it, it's not going to help you for this project. What I like about this is I tell people, get yourself a pad of paper, start writing down the things you know, and leave it on your dining room table, leave it someplace visible. Wherever you go, take it with you so that you can add to it all the time. And never take anyone off. I mean, their name. When you read through your list, when it's a time where it's sort of a dry season, that's when you sit down and you read through your list and, oh yeah, so-and-so, I was so scared to talk to them a year ago. No big deal. Now I feel different. So you would never take them off.
Absolutely. Love that you said that. And Brenda, you were nodding a whole lot, so I want to hear what your thought was on all of that, because you're like, yes, yes, yes. What were you thinking? What was the jogger? Because that's going to be my segue. What's the
Well,
jogger?
I'm a paper person too, but there are some numbers out there through different services that will tell you when you connect the hand, the eye, and the mind. And they even go down to whether you should use a pen or a pencil. Your ratios, your numbers are so much better than the person who just uses an electronic device. So some old ways you should. I'm sorry?
Is it pen or pencil? I want to know.
Oh,
Which
it's pencil. Pencil.
I
Really?
actually would agree with that, like 1,000%. And I do want to ask Linda her thoughts and Chuck his thoughts. But before I forget this thought, if anyone out there has been watching The Secret, the movie The Secret, I have watched it about 1.5 million times. And there's one little snippet with, I think the lady's name is Maria Diamond. And she talks about how she was working with a client and he really wanted to bring a lover into his life. And she had looked at all of his artwork. He was an artist, and all of his art and this, that, and the other. Anyway, she had him draw what he wanted. Draw a picture of what he wanted in pens and pencils and oils. And I think, Brenda, is that kind of what you're saying? Like, it's that, I don't want to use the woo-woo words, but it makes me think of manifesting. Is that?
It's science, Julia. It really is science. So it's manifesting is part of the woo-woo science, but the actual principle. That's why I cannot remember the site where I actually saw it. It's real science, and the numbers are there. They're documented.
That's totally cool. So I want to bounce over and ask Linda a question, because I know you're joining us from the icicle region. I'm just going to call it the icicle region. And,
Dressed for it today, my little snowflakes.
tell us your name, where you're from, and what you think about names lists, what they are, how you've used them, all that good stuff.
Well, Linda Kay from New Hampshire, where it is definitely the free zone this week. I know I checked my phone the other morning. It said 7 below, so it's like a little chilly here. So you're talking about names list, and since I jumped in the middle of the conversation, I'm assuming this is about prospecting. All right, great. So one of the things that I've discovered is sometimes those that you think you will won't, and those you think you won't will. So sometimes when I'm hesitant to call someone on my list, those turn out to be the best calls. And it's just interesting how it works that way, probably because maybe other people think the same way about those people, whether it's something about them, how approachable they are, how ready to engage in a conversation and take immediate action on doing business, versus some people that probably most people wouldn't approach and go after as much. So just a thought.
I love that thought. Those are absolutely awesome, great thoughts. I think that's fantastic. When you're writing down your names list, don't be prejudiced. Don't prejudge the person on the list.
Can I add to that?
Say again, Sarah?
I just wanted to add to that because, you know, it's exactly what we were talking about earlier. The idea behind building your list is to build a list. It's not to decide who's going to buy, who I'm going to call, how the teams are going to be set up. I mean, I know that Brenda has an advanced thought process that she's going on, but she's still writing everybody's name down. And if she calls me and I don't say yes, she's still going to call Julia. She's not going to like just leave it. And that's the thing that for those of you that may be new at this, to remember that somebody, you know, has brought you in, somebody's your coach, or you're looking at the website which is telling you this is what you do, you build a list, and do it. Don't be deciding that you don't need to do it. It's a step in the process, and you can't get from here, I'm trying to make sure my hands show up, from here to here if you don't do all the steps in between. And one of them is build a list. It's maybe like here. If you try to skip that and go to here, you're not going to have success. It's very, very important. And the way I tell people is, you know, we're asking you to build a list. And it may be that this is kind of like a little test. If you can't build a list, you probably can't do the other stuff either because you're not coachable. And that's really, really important. Take it seriously and do it. And one of the little stories that I use is, you know, let's say you are somebody that's trying to get a bucket full of cream and you've got 1,000 cows in front of you. If you only milk 2 of them, you're not going to get very much cream. You have to milk all the cows, all of them. You get all the names on your list. And then the cream rises up, and you get that nice, beautiful layer of cream at the top, and you realize, oh, look at it, I got a whole bucket of it. And the rest of it is maybe just milk, and maybe you never call them at all. But that cream can't appear if you don't milk all the dang cows. You got to write everybody on your list. The point of building a list is to build a list. Thank you. That's my soapbox.
That was absolutely priceless. I absolutely love that. You got to milk all the cows. Brenda, what were you going to say?
Great analogy, but I do use the people who don't want to build a list. I use that as a filtering tool. If we can't get to that list at least the first 2 to 3 days, it really is a statement about how their business building is going to go. That's how critical the list is.
Wow.
Between the list and, you know, finding a reason as to why they're going to actually work a business. If those 2 aren't in place, there is no success.
That is absolutely amazing and eye-opening, and I bet a lot of other people feel that that's an eye-opening point there. So I'm going to take it a step further, and I have my own idea, but obviously all my ideas get expanded when I'm sitting here in this fantastic group. My idea is this: how many names need to go on your names list? So the magic number I always think of, and this is the magic number I think of, is 200. I think of writing down 200 names. Now, these do not have to be people, they don't even have to be the person's name. It could be the redheaded guy who waited on me at the grocery store last Thursday, who smiled at me and said, I'll put your eggs on top so that they don't get crushed. I mean, it doesn't have to be John Smith, you know, and his phone number. You might not have that information. You're simply, what everyone is saying is committing their name down, or committing the idea of that person to your list so that you can milk him as a cow. So I'm thinking to myself that when I'm thinking of a number, my magic number is 200. And the reason that I choose the number 200 is because I have learned that if I do 200 names, I will inevitably get 400. And it's the funniest thing. In a lot of businesses, it's, you know, shoot for the moon and you might hit the lamppost. When you're building a names list, it seems like if you shoot for the moon, you're going to end up outside of the Milky Way. It's exciting to me. I am looking for that big list of names committed to paper, written down, so that when I sit down to make my cold calls, when I sit down to make my warm calls, my three-way calls, when I sit down to start working on my business, I absolutely don't feel like I'm ever going to get to the end of that list. So I feel like no matter how hard, even if the first 150 people say no, I still have 50 more people, because the magic number is usually contact 10, get one. That one, out of those people, 5 of those people who said yes, you'll get one. You have your statistics, which we're going to talk about later on down the line. But that's the number I start with. So, cast of characters who all have different cool, expansive ideas. Sarah, tell me what you think.
Well, can you hear me? Yeah. So what I think is that's a great place to start, because everybody knows at least 200 people, and as long as perhaps you'll have to do something like, oh, they're over age 18 or something to limit it, but not always. And if you know Joey, then you might have a chance to meet Joey's mom, and therefore there's still potential there. I love the nice lady at the 7-Eleven that I say hello to every morning. Now I'm going to take the time to learn her name. And it encourages you to expand your network, and everybody, like I said, knows 200 people. So, and every one of those knows 200 more. So it's a great place to start, but it's just a starting point. And I'm sure Brenda will agree that when we tell a new person that's working with us, okay, your job now is to make your list. Let's get back together tomorrow, and I hope you'll need to have at least 100 names on it. People just go, are you kidding me? And that's why you can wave the cell phone and say, look, you know all those people. How many are there? I just want to remind you it's 7:26 here in California, so we only have about 3 or 4 minutes left. But what a great call. Oh, my gosh.
I know. It's amazing. I always think it's one little nugget of an idea, and it just blossoms. So, Brenda, how many names do you tell people to put on their list, and what kind of time frame do you give them? I'm curious, because you have specifically said use this as a benchmark. So it must be taken very seriously, and if it isn't, then you'll know. But give me some ideas here. Can't hear you. Gotta unmute you, baby.
50 to 100, because I don't want to overwhelm people. I mean, people can get really, overwhelmed quickly. So 50 to 100 is their start. But I do suggest that when you remove somebody, you add that same day. So if I call 5 or 10 people off that list before I go to bed that night, I'm going to add 5 to 10, whatever the number was I called that day. I just started that last week. And that's working out really well, because it keeps my mind in an expansion mode to keep that list at the 100. I keep mine at 100.
So when you give them that assignment of 50 to 100, what's your time frame? Like, do you say, and tomorrow I want you to have 50 to 100, or what's your time?
It's the 24 to 48 hours, and I'll try to start it right there, right after we finish talking, and we've done the back office and signed in. I try to get it started that same evening.
Wow, that's
or
great.
Day.
That's awesome. Linda or Chuck, do either of you want to chime in on that point?
Just one comment here is, I love the idea about thinking the list, before you go to bed, but keep a pad of paper and pencil handy by the bed, because when you wake up in the morning, that's when you're going to have your lists.
Very good point. Absolutely true. Just like when you wake up and you've had a dream and you want to jot it down. So as Sarah reminded us, we are rounding the bend. We are at 10:29 Eastern Time, 7:29 Pacific Time, and we only do a quick 30 minutes. This is a motivational call. I want to remind you that we have some phenomenal tools available to you when you sign up for our Friday weekly class. It's $37 per month when you go to makesomemoneyhoney.com. Just send me a quick email. Let us know that you're interested. Or visit Sarah's website. If you're on the West Coast, please visit sarahcoolidge.com. Send her a quick email. Let her know that you want to participate in the class. Every Friday, we're going to be getting together and getting a lot deeper into these topics. The freebie that we have for this week, obviously, is going to correspond to this fantastic topic that we've been covering. I'd like to get a quick sign off from everybody, and I mean quick. wrap it up, bring it back to me. Brenda. She has no voice.
I do keep a pad beside my bed, but I keep notebooks. And it's a shame because there's nobody else in my bed. I just have them lined up. And there's Julia's, there's business, there's this, there are three lined up. And in the middle of the night, sometimes I'll wake up and I'll just jot in whoever's notebook that they belong in. That's sad, but so true.
You're so funny. All right, give us your sign off. Where do we find you? How do I find you? How do I find you, Brenda? Quickly.
BrendaGraham.com or SuccessWithBrenda.
.com. Awesome. Chuck, can you say goodbye real quick?
Goodbye. It was a great half an hour.
Awesome. Chuck Howard. Thank you so much. Linda Kay, can you say goodbye for us?
LindaK.com.
Awesome. Fantastic. Sarah Coolidge.
Hey there, I love what Brenda said. We sleep with our power, and right now the power is the magic energy that's in all those books, and, let's make another book, darling, that has a big list of what the person might be that would be sleeping there when the books are gone, and that'll help you fill that gap. SarahCoolidge.com, or you can also find me at CEOSpaceWest.com. We help businesses grow. Anybody that needs to have some support and resources, please check us out. Thanks very much. We'll see you next Monday.
Absolutely. My name is Julia Flynn Worry, and you find me through MakeSomeMoneyHoney.com. MakeSomeMoneyHoney.com. We get together every Monday morning for Monday Momentum, Monday Motivation. We meet at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. Pacific Time. We put the link live. Please share it with all of your friends and neighbors. And if you would like to go a little deeper, and if you'd like some of our awesome free tools that we offer to everyone who joins our class, please send me an email or Sarah an email and let us know that you want to participate in our Friday call. It's $37 per month. We have a very, very enthusiastic crowd, and we talk about more in-depth topics. We are so grateful to have had you here with us this week and can't wait till next week. Join us again. Thanks so much. Have a great week.
Bye. Have a great